Includes 12 mixed pieces of Lee's fresh, never frozen chicken that is honey dipped, hand breaded, and cooked to perfection. Plus 3 large sides and 6 fluffy biscuits. Get a homestyle meal made easy today with Lee's 12-piece family meal at a great price. Only at Lee's, famous for chicken.
It's the Keith Byars Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken, right here on Dayton's home of the Buckeyes, 1410 ESPN Radio. He's a former Buckeyes great and now a college football Hall of Famer. And don't forget about his 13 years of NFL experience playing for the Eagles, Dolphins, Jets, and the New England Patriots.
Watch for the great block by Keith Byars on Pepper Johnson. Bam! Right there. Byars just failed.
He's Dayton's own Keith Byars. It's the Keith Byars Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken on Dayton's home of the Ohio State Buckeyes, 1410 ESPN Radio.
Welcome. You're listening to the Keith Byars Radio Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. Phone number to call is 937-457-9464. One more time, 937-457-9464. You can hit me on my Twitter handle, also at KAB41. Wow. Lots of happening always at, sports, in the sports world. We're here in the month of June. One of my favorite months because it's getting us closer back to football season. But it's my favorite, as a fan. But during my professional days, I'm like, oh man, my vacation is almost over. You're trying to squeak in that last little vacation because July is right around the corner. And when that is training camp, especially during my Philadelphia Eagle days, when Buddy Ryan was the coach, before they have these OTAs and now organized team activities and things of that nature, the Eagles, we were ahead of the curve. We were doing that before anybody else in the NFL. And so Buddy Ryan, his rule was, we're going to be one of the last teams to report to training camp in Westchester, Pennsylvania, but we got to have these volunteer workouts, these mandatory volunteer workouts, as he used to call them, and they would start the Monday after the 4th of July. So you hate it for the 4th of July to be, like on a Saturday or a Sunday, because then that Monday we got to be back to work. You liked Tuesday, 4th of July, so Wednesday, 4th of July, because then you had a little extra cushion before we had to be back there and be working. It used to be like Monday through Fridays, and he would get his weekend off, but it was a lot of sacrificing of your summer vacation. So I used to value the month of June a lot because I'm like, oh, wow, it's almost time to get back into the grind, even though you love what you're doing, but you also love, your downtime. I don't know, you guys, everybody's listening to the show. A lot of people, work. You love your job. You at least love the paycheck you get at the end of the week. But you love your downtime. So, now we're here in the month of June, and it's time for, to go out and vacation a little bit. I got a couple of things planned on my calendar this summer, and looking forward to doing that, but more so in the fall. But, Ohio State, we have a Buckeye land cruise. It's usually a cruise on water, but this year with the pandemic, it got canceled. So they made it a land cruise down in Fort Lauderdale. So that's coming up next week. A lot of Buckeye players. We're going to meet down in, don't worry, I'll still be here on the radio. We're going to meet down in Fort Lauderdale and have a lot of Buckeye fans and players and just Buckeyes at the whole hotel. They got they rented out the entire hotel that we're staying in. And so it'll be a good time. I'm going to raise a lot of money for cancer research. So that's going to be great. I'm in charge of, I'm hosting a casino night one night while we're there. And it's a high stakes one. But Ezekiel Elliott is going to play him, and Ryan Shazier and a few other Buckeyes, Beanie Wells. So it's going to be so you got a chance to take some Ezekiel Elliott's money on the poker table. So that's going to be great. But let's talk about what's going on right now in the world of sports. Yes, it's not quite the dog days of summer for the baseball season because baseball just started in April. But it's teams are starting to bunch up and separate themselves, and my team season was over before it started. But I knew that going in, and you listen to the show at the time. Everyone knows I'm a diehard Pittsburgh Pirate fan. I must be, because I say it out loud. And once we do get back to prominence and making the playoffs and winning World Series, you won't call me a bandwagon fan. So I am legit. Right now, I just say, well, I don't even know 10 players on the team, but that's my team. I follow the jerseys, and the Reds are ahead of us. So yeah, we're in the bottom dwellers, but that's where we are right now. Pirates to change it around. But the Cincinnati Reds stadium is opening up to 100% capacity, whatever that means. So there's you'll never hardly sell out anyway. But nevertheless, I'm gonna go down there. And maybe one of these times when the Pirates come to town to watch the Reds play. But hey, if you want to get out to see a baseball game, get out there and watch them. So this for. But right now in the professional sports world, basketball playoffs are going on, and love basketball. And this is the season. This is the time to watch it. During the regular season, NBA playoffs can be NBA regular season is not that great. Let's just be honest. I probably watch three games a year during the regular season, or the 82, if it's a normal 82 game season, like around Christmas time or Christmas Day, let's watch some of those games. And then maybe a couple other times, of course you watch All-Star Weekend. And then a few other times, you watch a game, but it's hard to watch a game from beginning to end more than 3 times for me during the 82 game regular season. But then comes the playoffs. And, it's almost like my March Madness on steroids. Oh, I'm every night, I'm up late watching these games. Like I said, I'm a diehard Pittsburgh Pirate fan, and I'm also a diehard Philadelphia 76er fan. I pick the Sixers to win the championship every year. And we're the number 1 seed in the East. Watching that game last night against the Atlanta Hawks, we got our hands full. We have our hands full, so we are, we got to play some basketball. We got to play some basketball. And you say, what do you mean it's we? I don't see you out there, Key. But that's how real fans talk. When we were talking about the Buckeyes, if we talk about the Buckeyes, people say, man, well, we're going to win this. So everybody's in this Buckeye Nation. So I'm part of 76er Nation too. But they're 1-1. They did. Joe Embiid had a big game last night, gave me 40 points. Absolutely loved it, But I think that series is going 6 or 7 games. And the longer it goes, the less likely my team is going to win. But I still believe that somehow, some way, they're going to pull it out. And I don't wish injuries on anybody, on any players in the playoffs. I know James Harden has a hamstring injury. And so is Conley, from Ohio State. He's, he didn't play last night for the Utah Jazz in a hamstring injury. And I was at a golf event this past Monday, and I was talking to Clark Kellogg, and he made a good point. This was the shortest offseason in NBA history. And quick sidebar. We're going to have a new NBA champion. The Lakers lost last week. The Heat lost. So we got two conference champions are going to be new. The Eastern Conference champion last year was Miami Heat, and the Lakers was the total champion. Miami Heat got lost. They went out in the first round and got swept out of the playoffs. So we're going to have a new champion. Well, what Clark Kellogg was telling me, he's like, but it's the shortest offseason. Yeah, they played 10 less games in the regular season, but your body needs time to recover. It needs time to recover. So he was basically saying we're probably about 1.5 years or 2 years away from getting back to schedule. Because now, in theory, this in the NBA season could end late July. It could, if it goes to a game 7, that's somewhere around July 20-something that the NBA season could be over with. And then they'll be getting started right back at it again come September training camps in October. And then another, long haul season. And then next year, if everything health-wise, COVID-19, stays on track, next NBA season will end in June. and then they would have a summer leagues, and then they would get somewhat back to normal. But that means the two championship teams will be playing, deep into June. But the majority of the league will be over in April, May, and you have time to let your body recover, because that is important in any sport. But NBA, you're putting a lot of wear and tear on your bodies, and that's why you're getting injuries, like the Conley has and Harden has and a whole bunch of other players. The ticky-tock things, are creeping back in because your body needs time to recover. You work your body hard during the regular season. You train hard during the off season, but even that, you still need some downtime. I just first got on the show, I was talking about, when I was playing, you get your last vacation, but you're still staying in shape, but you need some downtime. Not just from a physical standpoint, but from a mental standpoint too. You just can't keep grinding away. You have to, take some self-help for yourself. You just have to. I'm drawing a blank. What's the tennis player's name, Justin? The female tennis player, Osaka. I meant to write her name down. Naomi Osaka. Tremendous athlete. And tennis players, they don't really get an off season. It just never ends. They really go from tournament to tournament. And you have to schedule your own time, which tournaments you're going to play. They all want to play in the majors, similar to golf. And you have to force yourself to take some rest. But Naomi Osaka, what she's been going through the last week and a half, 2 weeks in general media, and she's been beat up, and she's been, an arm's been put around her. I'm talking about not literally. I'm talking, figuratively. But I support her 100% because I've been there, done that, not to the extent, I'm not putting myself in her shoes and from a mental health thing, but I know mentally you need to decompress. You need some time off, and everybody is different. There is no cookie cutter way to see how everyone, should react to any situation. So with her situation, I'm totally, behind her, and, we handle things differently. But I like what Naomi Osaka is doing, and she's still taking some time off, and when she comes back, she's going to be ready. And I don't think, and even though I'm in the media, I don't think it's a total obligation that a person has to talk to us. we want to get to know them. We want to, get to know who, what, where, when, why something happened on the field that they play in, whether it's a court, boxing ring. We want to talk to them about. But I think that would just happen naturally. But to put an obligation that you have to, because we're watching you perform. We can write about that. Now, to get inside your mindset on why you're doing it, I don't think that's a given. I think it'll just happen naturally. So when Naomi Osaka doesn't want to talk either before or after her match, so what? You just report about what we've seen in her match. And then when it's time, I don't mean to rub it off so flippant when I said so what, but in a world, it is that way. I was talking to some of my buddies the other day, and believe it or not, I still go to the barbershop. So we was in the barbershop, going there for the fellowship. But I said, you guys cut hair. How you feel? You had to talk about it every day at the end of your shift. How'd your haircuts go today? Well, you're on your A game. You're off. And as an athlete, that's really what we do. We talk about our game, good, bad, or indifferent, about what happened in that game today. Was it good? Was it bad? Or was it indifferent? What happened? You think LeBron James wants to talk after every game. He doesn't. He's human. He doesn't. But he does because he just does. But if he decided not to, then that's okay. He doesn't have to. He talks enough. Every college football game, professional football game, who do they want to talk to after the game, no matter what happened? The quarterback. And if the quarterback doesn't talk, what's going on? Why didn't he talk to us? And I think that's his right, and that's just his choice. Don't want to stay on that too long, but I think it's the athlete's choice. whether or not they decide to talk, to the media. And I know people's like, oh, come on. But hey, I'm with the media, but I'm also, I'm pro player first and foremost. Before I forget, I have to give a shout out, since we're talking about professional sports and NBA news. We have a new MVP, and his name is Nikola Jokic, or Joker, from the Denver Nuggets. Very deserving. I was hoping that Joel Embiid would win it. He was my choice for the MVP, but I get why he didn't. I don't think he played, and he got hurt. That kind of set him back, and that allowed Joker, Nikola Jokic, but we always call him by his nickname, the Joker. He's deserving of it. So congratulations, to him. Don't get too comfortable with that trophy. My guy's coming forward next year. Embiid, but nevertheless, he deserved to win it this year. And let's see if he can. When's the last time the MVP? I should have looked this up before I got on the show. When's the last time the MVP won the championship? When's the last league MVP won the NBA championship? Did Steph Curry win it the year they won the Golden State won it? I don't know if he was the MVP that year. Yeah, well, callers, call in. Give me your answer to that question. That's my new question of the day. Who was the last MVP that won the NBA championship? The number is 937-457-9464 is the question. I should have looked that up. I can look it up, but I'm going to let you look it up and give me a call. A couple weeks ago, I asked the NBA playoffs, who's going to be the young NBA player, the breakout star of the playoffs? And I said Trey Young. I had Devin Booker on my list, and I'm going to leave him on the list, even though he's not a young gun because he's a sixth-year player, but it's his first time in the playoffs. DeAndre Ayton or Ja Morant, the Memphis Grizzly, or a wild card, young, breakout NBA superstar, because that's how you make your name in the NBA. Yes, you have a good regular season, but until you do it in the playoffs, that's what separates you. And I think everybody has had to, cross that bar. Magic Johnson, he was having a tremendous rookie season and I don't say turn the Lakers around, but took the Lakers to another level. And what did they end with a championship? Triple-double in Game 6 of his rookie year, and he was a breakout star. Michael Jordan, great career in the regular season, but when you're going to have some postseason success, he broke his foot his second year, came back, still put 63 on the Boston Celtics. I think this young guy's going to be pretty good. Larry Bird called him God in shorts. I think that was a little too much of an exaggeration. But I love to see young breakout guys. I mean, look at Donovan Mitchell for the Utah Jazz a few years ago. Wow. I mean, he's already matched the mailman, Karl Malone's most postseason 40-point games. He's had a 40-point game the other night. He had 45. And Donovan Mitchell, he was a breakout star 2 years ago. He's someone we love, watching him play. Jason Tatum, for the Boston Celtics. Yeah, the Celtics didn't go far this year in the playoffs, but he had 2 50-point playoff games. Big time. And which leads me to Trey Young. Trey Young is playing against my Philadelphia 76ers, and, I thought coming out of Oklahoma, he was going to be all hype and thought the NBA was going to be too big for him, but he's proven me wrong. He is really, turned into some dynamic player, and I think the future is ever going to get brighter, for him, and he is solidifying himself as probably, it's between him and Devin Booker is the brightest breakout star, but I'm gonna give with the Trey Young only because Devin Booker is owner. Trey Young is my 2021 NBA young breakout star of the NBA playoffs. I think we're going to hear his name, easily for the next 10 years, and not today, but there's going to be a time. Does he stay an Atlanta Hawk, his whole career? When you see these super teams being built, will Atlanta be able to hang on to him in the future? I don't know. Justin, let me ask you that quick question. Who do you have as your young breakout starter? You've seen, let's call it 1.5 rounds of playoffs. So the first round, we're in the semifinals. Am I missing somebody that's bigger than Trey Young who you would put on there or along his level?
No, Trey Young's the guy that I would have said right off the bat.
That would be number one.
But you're getting like some of these younger teams opportunities to be able to kind of put themselves on
display a little bit.
That's what helps. I mean, but Trey Young's been the biggest one. I mean, you look at the Knicks, they had an opportunity. I thought that they kind of squandered that, to be honest with you. I really think that they did squander an opportunity.
Yeah, I thought R.J. Barrett could have really changed the perception of a lot of people.
Yep.
Mine.
Or even
Julius Randle. I thought that because he didn't live up to. That's his first time leading the team into the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, Kevin and I've talked about that before. But when you look back at the Lakers let like Ingram go, they let a lot of these big guys go to be able to get some of the pieces they have on that roster now. But man, the Lakers would be still pretty good with these guys that they let go. But again, when you look at what Randall did in the playoffs, it was underwhelming considering the regular season he had. Wasn't an MVP favorite by any stretch of the imagination, but his name was in the conversation, and that's something that 2 years ago I would have laughed at you if you would have told me Julius Randle's a future MVP candidate.
Right.
So there's that. But no one else I think has broken out. But I mean, there's guys who have taken steps back.
How do you think about Ja Morant?
I thought he, again, the
just
first round.
More games in the playoffs and didn't get the opportunity.
Yeah, you look at Trey Young. Trey Young is getting propped. I think that Ja Morant would be on the same level as Trey Young if had Memphis won, and obviously that's not the case. But I mean, there's a lot of optimism about Ja Morant moving forward because he did. He put on a show. He didn't regress in the spotlight. Like that's the one thing you look for in the playoffs. Okay, some of these young stars in the regular season, when the lights are really on in the playoffs, do they regress? He didn't regress. In fact, he kind of ran into the light. Like he did a great job with that. So the young talent in the league, it's there. They still, I don't know who the face is after LeBron leaves. That's my concern for the league after that. But the talent is definitely there. That's for sure.
No, you just led me to another good question. Who is the next face of the NBA? Is
Zion? I mean, maybe, but like,
and not in New Orleans. Well, would it be safe to say New Orleans is equivalent to the Cleveland Cavaliers as far as their standing in the NBA?
And they've been fortunate. They've had Anthony Davis. Now they get Zion. They've been very fortunate to get the draft picks that they've been able to get. Keep in mind, Cleveland got a lot of, really good draft picks as well post LeBron. That's how they got Kyrie Irving. They messed up with Anthony Bennett. They didn't really capitalize on all their top draft picks, unfortunately. But these small markets, I know we want to feel sorry for them, but they get the opportunities. They get these top draft picks, and they don't develop them.
No, they
don't win with them.
I think I was talking to some friends the other day, and I talk sports all the time, and I said the NBA is creeping into the NCAA college football, whereas similarities, college football right now, it's down to 3 teams who can win a national championship and one possible wild card. It's Ohio State, Alabama, and Clemson, and maybe one wild card, whoever that wild card team is, on a consistent basis. The NBA, unless you have a super team, it's going to be hard to win it. It's going to be hard to win that championship. Brooklyn, they're the favorite, which they should be. But even with a healthy Laker team, they would be considered one of them. Any team LeBron is on has got a chance to win the championship. And yeah, I guess you could say Milwaukee, but they really haven't done it. So it's really only 2 teams who has a super team. Golden State isn't in the conversation right now because they've been hurt for the last couple of years. But unless you had a super team, you not really had a chance to win.
And I thought the league had a breath of fresh air a little bit because when Kevin Durant left the Golden State Warriors, LeBron was already in Los Angeles, so they didn't have a super team yet. But the league kind of turned into a dual league where you had, the combos. You had Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving before James Harden got there. You had LeBron and Anthony Davis. You had Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. You had Steph Curry and Klay Thompson before the injury. The league was really set up in tandems. And then the Nets
you
went
had
through.
Damian Lillard and who's his sidekick?
Not the level of those others, but McCollum and those guys. So, but what you really need is you need Damian Lillard and Giannis Antetokounmpo. Middleton's not a 2. We were talking about that before. That's why I do feel bad for Giannis. Giannis is getting all the brunt of, I
don't feel bad for Giannis because Giannis had opportunity to get out of town. this time last year. He had a chance to
So
leave.
he gets punished for being loyal and staying in Milwaukee. But, it's
You're
the
loyal to
reality
the
of it.
NBA. You're not necessarily loyal to the city.
And that was the big knock on LeBron early on. Is people don't want to come play with him. People don't want to go play in Cleveland. People want to play with LeBron. But you put LeBron in LA, he's a lot more attractive.
LeBron is more as attractive as somebody you want to play with. You'll go to Cleveland.
He makes you better.
Giannis, as opposed to Giannis.
You better. Yeah.
And Giannis, I mean, but I'm no slight, even though I'm slighting, the city of Milwaukee. Who wants to go to Milwaukee and play with Giannis? They want Giannis to come to this particular city and play with them. I've said for years, if LeBron James had stayed in Miami, he would probably easily have 6 championships by now, maybe 7 or 8 if he had stayed in Miami. Who wouldn't want to go down to South Florida, who I think organizational wise, they're probably the top 2 or 3 organization in the NBA. Great weather, great everything, and a pretty good fan base. But from the top down, the Miami Heat is a first-class organization, and I think LeBron's career would have been extended. Imagine Giannis going down to Miami, to a nice international city, and playing with LeBron James at the Miami Heat. I don't know. And some of the just light speculation that I have heard that the Lakers are going to make a move for Damian Lillard. So now if you get Damian Lillard, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis, it doesn't really matter who the other 2 are. That'd be a super team. And y'all always have some type of evolution, how sports evolve. And the NBA has evolved into the super teams. And the only way you don't have a super team, you got to grow them, the right guys at the same time in your organization. I bet you even something. I know I just complimented the Miami Heat, but imagine if Jimmy Butler stays in Philadelphia. With him, Ben Simmons, and Joel Embiid.
And the missing piece to that, because they played together and it didn't work, it was called you have to have a good functional coach. And Doc Rivers is one of the best coaches in basketball, if not the best head coach in basketball in the NBA right now. And he's the most, I know that Thibodeau, he was going to get the coach of the year, because when you win with the Knicks, that's of course is going to get you a lot of headlines. But I thought that Doc Rivers took Philly, who always had that talent. That roster's not that much different. And he's getting more out of this roster with guys like Jimmy Butler out and others who left. He's getting more out of them now because he's getting them to play adult basketball. They're not playing me basketball. They're playing adult. And that says more about Doc Rivers being a man's coach than some of the other yes men coach in the league. I think the NBA is filled with too many yes men coaches that are there just to manage the egos of the players. Doc Rivers is there to say, hey, I'm going to treat you with respect, but at the same time, you're going to do it my way because I've won a championship. I've been around the league for a while. Doc Rivers is one of my all-time favorite coaches.
I still think underrated.
Yeah,
I think he's very underrated.
Very underrated.
But I think the problem that I have, I know we got to go to break shortly.
Yep.
But one of the problems I have in all pro sports is when it comes to coaching, it's hard. Why does the team that takes the coach that takes a team that was mediocre to decent win the coaching? Coach of the year award, or took a decent team and help make them great. Or if you already have a great team, you can cancel out coach of the year. I mean,
that's why Urban,
when we're Urban or Nick Saban win another coach of the year job. I mean, what do they have to do?
Because that's just Urban being Urban or Saban being Saban. But
if Ryan Day goes undefeated this year, which he's done before, and win a national championship, will he win the champion? Will he win coach of the year?
No, because he's doing what he's supposed. We call it coach of the year, but it needs all these awards need to be called the storyline of the year.
There you go.
Pat Fitzgerald at Northwestern he's coached his ass off. He's doing things at Northwestern that most thought couldn't be done. At least, he's up there right now doing a great job. There's a ceiling there, but we give him coach of the year because it's a feel good. Man, Northwestern, they're in the Big Ten title. They're taking it to Ohio State. Good for that. But it's a feel good story. That's why.
Yeah, and the only storyline that you have is the win-loss record.
Yep.
Look at Northwestern. What 2 years ago they were sub 500. This past year they're in the Big Ten championship. He's doing a great job. Look at the improvement.
Yeah.
What does Ryan Day have to do this year to win coach of the year?
Did he? I think he won it the first year.
No, I'm talking about national coach of the year.
Oh, national,
not Big Ten.
But even in the Big Ten, though, they still don't even give it to the. Yeah, they still don't even give it to the to Ryan Day and Urban half the time, or Nick Saban in the SEC.
Right.
So. But I say that about the MVP. Like you look at Jokic, who just won that MVP. It's a feel-good storyline. You look at Giannis's numbers this year were better than the last 2 years that he won the MVP. We got bored with it, so the media writers moved on and voted for somebody else. Jokic is
we
new.
gave you 2. Don't look for a third.
He's new, and we did that with Steve Nash. Steve Nash won back-to-back. Steve Nash's numbers that third year were better than his previous 2. He didn't win the MVP that year. It's because we get bored. LeBron could be MVP. I mean, he's probably 10 MVPs left on the table. MJ left 10 MVPs on the table. And it's all because once you win 1 or 2, all right, on to the next one. Russell Westbrook, his numbers are better now than when his MVP year. No MVP. So it's just it's a feel-good storyline to me, and we get bored with these players and we move on to the next exciting player.
And see, one thing I hate about that, when the player's career is over with, you look back, he's only won X amount of MVPs, or he didn't win any. Well, how much I could have won? I mean, look at Damian Lillard. When his career is over with, he's going to have X amount of All-Star game appearances. And he missed out easily on about 3 or 4 because they were stacked. But that's how it goes in sports. We'll take a quick break. You listen to the Keith Byars Radio Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. You got time to stop and get some.
It's the Keith Byars Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken, right here on Dayton's home of the Buckeyes, 1410 ESPN Radio.
Is your credit card debt piling up? Pacific Debt can help. Pacific Debt is the nation's friendliest debt settlement company. With an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau and thousands of 5-star reviews on sites like Trustpilot and Best Company, they can settle your debt for a fraction of what you owe. In fact, they've settled over $300 million, helping people just like you. Get a monthly program payment you can afford and 0 upfront fees. Get free information now. 800-281-9981. 800-281-9981.
Jay Farner here, CEO of Rocket Mortgage and Rocket Companies. Last year, we saw historically low mortgage interest rates. What you may not know is that interest rates are already starting to increase, and it's likely that trend is only going to continue. Our team of experts is standing by to help you save before rates go up. Don't look back and wish that you had taken action. Call 833-8ROCKET or visit rocketmortgage.com.
Rocket.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states and MLSConsumerAccess.org number 3030.
Well, Jason, I've got to tell you, you're pretty much everything this company is looking for in an entry-level candidate.
Great.
Your resume isn't quite what we're used to, but you've got a fantastic work ethic.
Thank you.
And I'm impressed by how you carry yourself.
So, should we talk about the job?
What? The job? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I have no way of recruiting or even meeting you. This interview didn't happen.
It may sound ridiculous, and that's because it kind of is. There's a huge pool of talent your company is missing out on. Meet the grads of life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
Man, we really could have used him.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Attention men under the age of 35. You know what really impresses the ladies? When a guy has a few drinks and later gets pulled over for buzz driving. That could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. There goes let's grab dinner and a movie. Oh, I know. You drive more carefully when you're buzzed. You've proven that hundreds of times. A woman admires that kind of confidence. And you've practiced how to speak if a cop does pull you over. Slowly, clearly, and politely like, "Good evening, officer." A woman admires that kind of foresight. And what woman doesn't find it adorable that you call it buzzed even though the law calls it drunk? You can kiss $10,000 goodbye, along with any chance of having a girlfriend. Because nothing says, "I'm a catch," more than a guy who lives in his parents' basement and calls it my place.
Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
You have empty office space to fill or home office to create. You know what you need. You know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places what you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half half the price and below manufacturer selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really, desks from $50 to $5,000. Filing cabinets from $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. With 25,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Larrick's Warehouse Outlet at 23 McOil Avenue, Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Larrick's, continuing the tradition.
Liberty Mutual customizes your car and home insurance so you only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty. Don't miss the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Kirkland & Summers. Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed. And they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
WYNG 1410 Dayton, Dayton's ESPN Radio. It's the Keith Byars Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken, right here on Dayton's home of the Buckeyes, 1410 ESPN Radio.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Keith Byars Radio Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. Be careful out there, guys. It's rainy and gloomy, so take extra precautions. I'm not worried about you to drive. I'm worried about the other guy. So look out for that other guy. If we all look out for one another, we'll be safe out there on these wet roads today. You know, and especially turn your blinkers on. Especially, I know some of y'all about to turn into that Lee's Famous Recipe and get you some chicken. For confession, I had a couple legs just on the break. So it's good. It's lunchtime. You know, you don't have to wait lunchtime to eat at least. You eat lunch or dinner, so get you a good meal. And it tastes even better when it's rainy outside and what it is today. Hey, but hey, that's why the life of a farmer. God bless them. You know, you want rain and then you don't want too many. You need sunshine. You need both. But I'm glad we have farmers out there that are taking care of us and supplying the good nutrients that we know and need and like in our life. You know, this time of the year, on the break, I was talking to Justin. You know, we put a lot of pressure on our coaches, you know, especially, you know, your football coaches, you know, Ohio State coaches. They work tirelessly, and we don't care. All we care about is come fall, hey, did they win or did they lose? But this time of the year, you know, Ohio State and a whole lot of colleges are hosting, you know, the football camps for the young kids, you know, for high schoolers on down. And the other day on Twitter, Ohio State's, I don't know if he's going to start, probably going to start Paris Johnson, one of the big linemen. His mother had posted a picture of him as an 8th grader with Urban Meyer at his first Ohio State football camp. And now, you know, he's slated to be probably one of the starting guards, you know, at Ohio State this fall. And it's a matter of 5 years later, you know, 6 years later. You know, it's been 8th grader, now he's going to be a sophomore. It's like, wow, time does fly. And I remember when my son was, I brought him up to Ohio State's football camp when he was in 8th grade, and then he was going to a freshman. And he told me, he said, Dad, you know, these are the last 4 years that I'm going to be in your house. I was like, wow, he's going to be a freshman in high school. He's telling the truth. And it was just like, well, let's enjoy these next 4 years, before you go on to the next, phase of your life. And I still value this time of year. It takes me back to those memories, of going to the football camps with your kids and watching them, produce and perform and having and all the people that they meet, along the way, that's great. But the coaches, they put in a tireless amount of work. I mean, they're hosting unofficial visits and some official visits with recruits, so they're putting in work. So keep them in your thoughts and your prayers, and, keep their houses home, happy, because they put in a lot of work, and it pays off, in the fall. And so that's what they're doing right now. But also, as an athlete, the month of June is a vital time too in your training period. I say it all the time during the football season. If you want to have a good regular season, you have to have a good off season first. You have got to put in the time, not even from the organization, but for the athlete. When nobody's watching, and nobody's watching them right now, you can go to Ohio State's locker room in the weight room about 7 o'clock in the morning, and you'll see guys already in there sweating. They've probably been there since 6. That's when you get better. I used to work out especially when my kids were in school, when my professional days, I would be at the gym at 6 o'clock, and they had to be at school at 8. And I would, get me a good hour and a half workout in, come home, did the kids, drop them off to school, shower, run to the golf course, play 10 holes of golf, and pick them up from school, and then get your family time in, that way. And then I would probably sometime go give me a second workout later on that night. So as an athlete, and I did that when nobody was around watching me. Oh, did you go work out? And I know some of my teammates, they preferred to work out in the evening. And I say, work out what's best for you. For me, I was a morning guy, because I figure if I work out first thing in the morning, even in the summertime, I'm going to be, be more cognizant of what I eat. I feel a lot better about my day. I got me a good workout. I feel good. I'm refreshed. I'm revitalized, and I'm good. And then other guys, they can't even fathom working out in the morning. So, man, I got to work out in the evening. I want to be able to sleep in, wake up, let my body get my day running, all that stuff out the way, and then I'll work out at the end of the day, and I have a more productive workout. Both things can be true. So whatever works best for you. So if any high school, college kids are listening to my voice, work out what's best for you. Figure it out. But whatever you decide to do, maximize that. Don't cheat yourself. Don't cheat your teammates. Work out. Do it. And the coaches, this ought to be an easy time for the coach when he walks into the weight room, what I described was an hour and a half workout in the weight room. And people was like, that's all? I'm in the weight room 3-4 hours. What are you doing? It don't take that long to get a workout in. It does not take that long to work out. You're talking more than you're working. If you're working, you can get your work done in an hour and a half or less. You go in there with specific and get to work. When I was being in the gym at 6 o'clock, I'll be stretched out, ready to go at 6. I have my headphones on. I don't, at 6 o'clock in the morning, there's not very many people in the gym. And the people that are in the gym that early in the morning, they want to be in the gym too. So we don't have time to do a lot of jaw jacking. We're jacking up weights, and that's what it should be about. When I used to come home sometime in the summertime when I was in college or pro, and guys, how much you bench? You want to lift weights with us? No offense, I don't want to lift with you guys because y'all want to talk too much. I want to work. I want to come in, be quiet, do what I got to do, get in, get out, and I'm more productive. So young people, be productive in the weight room. It don't take all day. It doesn't take all day, but it does take sacrifice, and you have to sacrifice yourself and get the weights in, get your conditioning in, do all of those right things because you want to because football season is right around the corner. It is right around the corner. And you Bengals fans, you Browns fans, hey, you ought to be writing letters to your players. We want to have a good fall. Are you working out? Don't you? Are you? Put pressure on. I wonder how healthy Joe Burrows is. Right now. But what I've seen of Joe Burrow's work ethic from Ohio State to LSU to the Cincinnati Bengals, I don't even have to ask that question. I really don't have to ask that question. He can't wait for the fall. And again, he's busting his butt right now, rehabbing, trying to get better for the fall season. And it looks like we're going to have a full stadiums. And you fans, do your part too. You get ready to cheer for your team. Good, bad, or indifferent. I'm still a Pittsburgh Pirate fan. Even though we're in last place, I plan on cheering us out of last place by September. So when I go see them play the Reds sometime this summer, I'm going to be there to support the team. What I'm not going to do, I'm not going to be throwing popcorn and water bottles and spitting at different players. That's not acceptable. That's not acceptable. What happened in the NBA early part of this playoff season, that's never acceptable. And don't blame it on alcohol either. That's just being idiotic. So wherever section you sit in, make sure you sit in the pro cheering for your team section. Whether your team is the road team or the home team, just cheer for your team. You don't have to disparage another guy. If you decide to boo, you can boo. Okay, that's harmless to boo. I was telling some guys a story. My first NFL football game, I was a rookie. We were playing in Washington. We're the road team. With the Eagles, we're playing Washington. And part of my ritual, when I come out of the locker room, I like to take a lap around the stadium. And my first NFL football game, I come out of the locker room, I got my uniform on, for the first time. I didn't even play in a preseason game. My childhood dreams come true. Here I am in the NFL stadium. I'm going to play today. I'm starting. And I'll take a lap around the football field. And I get to the Washington fans section, and they start yelling at me. Byars, hey, Keith. They're yelling my name. I'm like, oh, man, these people know me. They got some fans here in Washington, D.C. I looked up, I waved at them, nodded, threw my hand up, acknowledged their, calling out my name. And in unison, they all started shouting at me, you suck. I was like, oh, they got me. I couldn't do nothing but laugh. I'm thinking I got some fans, and they was like, you were in the wrong jersey, buddy. You're not with us. And so I just busted out laughing, and I continued to take a lap. I said, okay, that would never happen to me again. And then as the years went by, if I may have got some fans, some friends to, tickets to the game with somebody I may have knew, they used to literally have to almost call my name. Keith, I'm from Dayton, Ohio. Man, look at me. I'm trying to get your attention. Oh, okay. You're not a heckler. Hey, buddy, how you doing? Good to see you here. I said, I'm just scarred from my rookie year. That kind of banter back and forth, I can take, and I respect that. Out of fan behavior. That's okay. Nobody got hurt. The thing got hurt on me was my feelings. I thought I had some fans, and I found out I didn't. But that's fun. That's part of the gamesmanship. And I know the fans were there to cheer for their team and hate my team. That's okay. But fan behavior, what happened in the NBA playoffs, I hope that it's over and done with. I don't want to see it in the fall, in the college football, in the professional game. I don't want to see it in football on no level. Yes, cheer for your team. Yes, be the 12th, the 12th man on the football field for your team. But you do not have to disparage the other team. You don't have to, be throwing foreign objects, at an opposing player, and certainly not spitting at them. There is never any room for that. So as fans, let's be good fans. Let's, cheer our team on, whatever the sport it is. Cheer you, but you don't have to disparage, the opposition. Cheer for your guys. But like I said, man, they got the NBA playoffs are in full tilt. We got games. We got a full slate of games tonight. I thought it was only one, but I believe it's three. I believe it's 3 games tonight. And I'm going to be up late watching them. I'm looking forward to, it's 3 games. No, it's 1 game tonight, 2 tomorrow. But Denver and Phoenix play. We'll see how that, series unfold. The MVP, I guess, did we find out the MVP question? Nobody called in with that. The last person to win the MVP and the championship. Who was that?
That would have been
Steph Curry?
Kyrie Irving. Holy smokes. Steph Curry. I was looking at Kyrie Irving's picture when I said that. But yeah, Steph Curry was the last, and then Kevin Durant before that, not Kevin Durant, I'm sorry. Before Steph Curry. Wow, I'm all over the place. I apologize.
It's okay.
So you had Steph Curry in 14-15, who won his first one. By the way, that's another example of a guy who won MVPs back-to-back years because he was the new hot story.
The new face, yeah.
And then his numbers are better now than those years he won MVP.
He didn't get a
he's
sniff.
Not even in the
finals.
And without him, their team's not even sniffing the playoffs. But like LeBron James won it in 08-09, obviously, with Cleveland didn't win it. Kobe Bryant won it in 07-08.
No championship?
But I think the Celtics won in 08.
Yeah, when's the last NBA champion and MVP champion?
So Steph Curry, that was back in 14-15.
Okay.
But before that, I'm even trying to go back before that. Steve Nash, no. Kevin Garnett, no. Tim Duncan, possibly. Yeah, Tim Duncan won it in 2001, 2, and 3. So only twice has that happened pretty much in the last 2 decades where the MVP won the NBA title that year.
It's hard to do both.
But that's because we won't
acknowledge it. We won't give it to them.
We punish the best player on the best team by not giving it to him. We say, well, you're on the best team. That's why your numbers are. So we give it to someone who was, in the middle of the pack. When LeBron won it with Cleveland, the Cavs were always the middle. They were right at the top of the East, but they were still middle of the pack as far as favorites to win the championship. So, and that's kind of how it is here. Dirk Nowitzki, when he won his, Dallas wasn't favored to win the title that year. It was a feel-good story for Dirk Nowitzki. So, I don't know. Giannis, same thing. The Bucks weren't favored to win the title coming out of the East.
Yeah, how often can you get an MVP from Milwaukee? So let's vote for him.
Yep.
As opposed to a big
Utah.
market. In Utah. Karl Malone, yeah.
Man, he's doing that in Utah. Man, that's a great story. Man, he's doing that in Milwaukee. Man, he's doing that. A little guy like Steph Curry from Davidson is doing that. Man, that's a good story. Kobe, LeBron, those guys. So Kevin Durant even could be, not this year because of injuries. Those guys should be your MVPs every year, but that's not going to happen. So
no, it's not. But what will happen is I will be back on the show on Monday. I'll be back here Monday to talk sports with you after a big weekend of NBA playoffs. But I've had a great time. We will talk again. But in the meantime, guys, get out and do random acts of kindness for your fellow man. All right? And especially on a rainy day like that. It's okay to let the person in traffic. You ain't got to, try to beat it all right now. So let's be careful with each other. You've been listening to Keith Byars Radio Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. I'll see you on Monday.
It's the Keith Byars Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken, right here on Dayton's home of the Buckeyes, 1410 ESPN Radio.
More driven. You want to bring him in because you were grooving there, our senior baseball insider standing by.
Listen, we want to bring in Buster Olney, the best man in the business and the only man that stepped out there on a limb and said Jacob deGrom he'll be Cy Young, but he'll also be MVP.